Good morning, greetings from SEG Solutions. In this video, we will answer some questions from our customers after our last webinar by Image Graphics for heat exchanger. The first question was during nozzle creation, there is no option on the shell for the nozzle. We will make a model for pressure vessel, and we will add some nozzles and check how we can make an opening on shell plates and head and cone. This option don't run automatically because some customers asked us to make this as a separate tool, because sometimes they don't need to make a sheet metal flat pattern for sheet plates. It's not they are not using it, so this step will be a headache and take a time during running, and they don't want to make it automatically. Just they wanted to select if they want to do it or not. The second question, there is no bevel edge preparation option in shell and nozzle joint, and we will discuss how we can make that. Another question, how to add any attachment to the cone. Now let's start to make a nozzle opening on shell and head, and how we can use this tool. Here we have this model. This model includes some main items like head, shell, cone, and hemispherical head, and each element of those has a connected child nozzle. And for if we take a look on the SEG tree, here you can figure that nozzle N2, N3, and N4, they are all of them located on shell as a parent. Okay, and actually, if you take a look on this 3D model, you can figure that N3 is located on the welding line between shell and the shell 2, and nozzle 4 is completely located on shell 2, but the parent of this element is shell 1. Take a look again, you can figure that N2 is located on shell, and N3 is the same, and N4, but the location of those nozzles not located on the same shell core, so which is with that small lens. So how we can make opening for those items right here. From SEG, we have a tool here for the opening. If you open it and click load, by clicking on load, you will load all nozzles on this model. We have N1, N2, N3, N4, N5, and stud outlet. Okay, so if we wanted to make a hole for this one, just we will select extrude process. But there is some other options like the clearance cut, and if you would like to select all nozzles or not, and analyze interference. This option, which is analyze interference, is more accurate if you select it, but it takes more time. Why? Because SEG will detect which the interference between the nozzle and the main element. It will not take in its consideration the parent element. That means if we have a nozzle like N4 and N3, they are located on another parent. Okay, it's the parent is this shell, not that one on SEG. So by using the tool of analyze interference, it will detect automatically where is the interference between the nozzles, like that. If we open the inspect and analyze interference, and if we select those nozzles, for example, and select those parents here, you can figure that we have an interference here. So SEG we will detect the interference element with this nozzle and make a cut on it. Okay, so it's more accurate but takes more time. So if we come back here and select analyze interference and add 5 millimeters clearance, for example, and we will apply it to all nozzles. And if you would like to make it to change it for some nozzles like those nozzles, just modify it here and click Save Setting to save those changes here. Okay. Now if we come back to this model again, and let's start creating opening for this model. So let's come back to this form again and click Extrude Process. Now SEG will detect the make analyze interference and detect where is the clashes or the interference between elements and create a cut. Okay, now we create the opening of this nozzle, and you configure that this opening comes out the shell. So how we can solve this? If you take a look here, if we double click on this head, sorry. If we take a look on this head, the opening comes correct. And if we go to the second shell here, you can figure that the cut comes correct for this one, but for this one it comes to the second side. So how we can solve this in the two shell courses here and there? That's because this nozzle comes out, part of it comes out the shell. So how we can modify this option? Now we will select, after making a load and deselect all and select N3, and from here we will modify the clearance, and from here we will delete this opening by clicking on delete. If we take a look here, this nozzle opening shall be deleted. Now we will create this opening by using some different options to make it in a correct way. Let's load it again, and from here let's select N3 only, but from here we will not make it to next, just we will make it with a distance and define the distance here with 50 millimeters and save this setting. Now when we create extrude, you can figure that the opening takes place only on the right place, not on the second side too, like that. So if we double click on this shell, you can figure that we have a cut for this nozzle here and another cut on this shell here. Okay, if we double click on the cone like that, you can figure that we have this opening, and you can create the flat pattern for this cone easily with this opening like that. The second question was, there is no bevel edge preparation option in shell and the nozzle joint. Actually, those options exist in Autodesk Inventor itself. The welding preparation and welding options, like adding a fillet weld, groove weld, all of that, you can do it by using Autodesk Inventor. For example, if we would like to make a chamfer here on the shell, so we will double click on this shell right here, and from the 3D model we will select the chamfer tool, and if you would like to make this a chamfer, for example with 15 degree and 8 millimeters, just you will select this surface and select this edge like that, and let's flip this one like this, so you can take a look to the chamfer from here if you would like to make with a 30 degrees like that, or 15 degrees to make this weld preparation like that. The same thing you can do it on the head. For example, if we would like to make chamfer here, just you will select this chamfer and modify the value and select the surface and the chamfer value like that. Okay, see, so if we take a section, for example, half section, continue, and if you take a look here, That's the chamfer, and that's the clearances that we defined it on the you can figure that that's the clearance. So if you would like to make a chamfer here, the same thing we will do. Select that one and select chamfer and modify the angle. Select the surface and select the edge. And if we take a look here, after making the section, you can figure that you can make this chamfer like this. Okay, let's go to the third question, which is any option available to create attachment on a cone. You can figure that we have the ability to add a nozzle on the cone. And if we come back to SEG tree, and if you select the cone, and from elements, you can figure that you have the ability to add saddle, cone, nozzle with internal projection and stiffening ring. I hope this video we try to answer some of your questions, and in the next videos we will answer the other question. Thank you for your time.